The day the truth was revealed, the world changed forever. It started as a routine scientific expedition to the far reaches of our solar system. A team of the brightest minds in astrophysics and xenobiology had been dispatched to study a strange anomaly detected in the outer planets. What they discovered would shatter the very foundations of human civilization. It began with strange readings from the sensors on their spacecraft, fluctuations in the fabric of space-time, exotic particles, and distortions in the laws of physics that defied all explanation. The deeper they ventured, the more the data seemed to point to the presence of an advanced extraterrestrial intelligence. After months of careful observation and analysis, the truth emerged. This was no natural phenomenon. It was the work of an alien technology, a vast and ancient construct that had been shaping the destiny of life across the galaxy for eons. And at the heart of this construct was the most chilling revelation of all, the very concept of death, the inescapable fate that had defined the human experience since the dawn of our species, was nothing more than an artificial constraint, a limitation imposed by these alien architects to prevent the rise of advanced civilizations. The implications were staggering. Humanity, it seemed, was not the master of its own fate, but merely a pawn in a cosmic game, our brief lives and inevitable demises carefully orchestrated by forces beyond our comprehension. For the scientists on that fateful expedition, the news was both liberating and terrifying. A part of them wanted to rush back to Earth, to share this world-shattering discovery and free mankind from the shackles of mortality. But another, darker part knew that the powers that had engineered death would not take kindly to their meddling. In the end, they made a decision that would change the course of human history. They would return to Earth, but they would do so in silence, keeping their findings hidden from the world. For if the alien overseers learned of humanity's newfound knowledge, the consequences could be catastrophic. And so began a decades-long quest to unravel the secrets of the alien construct, to find a way to circumvent the constraints of mortality that had been forced upon us. It was a race against time, a battle of wits, and will against an enemy whose power and reach were beyond anything humanity had ever faced. The scientists worked tirelessly, recruiting the brightest minds from across the globe, pooling their resources and expertise in a desperate bid to crack the code of immortality. They delved into the furthest reaches of science, exploring quantum mechanics, nanotechnology, and the very nature of consciousness, all in search of a way to cheat death. And through it all, they kept their discovery a closely guarded secret, fearing the wrath of the alien overlords should their plans be discovered. Years turned to decades, and the world remained unaware of the momentous struggle taking place behind the scenes. The public continued to accept death as an inevitable part of the human experience, blissfully ignorant of the cosmic game that was being played out. But the scientists were undaunted. Driven by a burning desire to free humanity from its chains, they pushed the boundaries of science and technology, driven by a single-minded determination to achieve the impossible. And then, after decades of tireless effort, they finally cracked the code. A revolutionary new process, combining advanced nanotechnology, genetic engineering, and quantum computing, had been developed, a way to not just prolong life, but to eliminate death altogether. The news spread like wildfire through the scientific community, sparking a frenzy of activity as teams around the world raced to replicate the breakthrough. And the implications were staggering: a world without death, where the human lifespan was no longer limited by the cruel constraints of biology. Yet, even as the researchers celebrated their triumph, a growing sense of unease began to settle in. For they knew that the alien overseers, the architects of the construct that had defined the human experience for millennia, would not take kindly to this challenge to their authority. And they were right. Within weeks, the first signs of retaliation began to emerge. Strange anomalies in the skies, unexplained power outages, and a series of unexplained accidents that claimed the key scientists involved in the Immortality project. The race was on. Humanity had to move quickly to secure its newfound immortality before the alien overlords could intervene and snuff out the flame of human defiance. The world's governments were mobilized, pouring resources into the Immortality project on an unprecedented scale. Scientists worked around the clock, driven by a sense of urgency and a burning desire to free their species from the shackles of mortality. And as the project gained momentum, a new spirit began to emerge among the human population. A sense of unity, of purpose, of a shared destiny that transcended national boundaries. For the first time in history, humanity was united in a single, common cause: the quest for immortality. The backlash from the alien overlords was swift and brutal. Mysterious attacks, electromagnetic disruptions, and even the targeting of key infrastructure began to take their toll. But the scientists and their supporters were undaunted, driven by a determination that bordered on fanaticism. As the conflict escalated, the world's governments began to take drastic measures. Military forces were deployed to protect the research facilities, and a global network of covert operatives was established to counter the aliens' efforts to sabotage the Immortality project. It was a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. And at the center of it all were the scientists, the unsung heroes who had dared to challenge the cosmic order, driven by a burning desire to free their species from the shackles of mortality. Year after year, the battle raged on, with both sides upping the ante, deploying ever more sophisticated technologies and tactics in a desperate bid to salvage. The alien overlords, sensing the threat to their authority, unleashed increasingly devastating attacks, while the human defenders fought back with a ferocity born of their newfound sense of purpose. And through it all, the Immortality project continued to advance, with new breakthroughs and refinements that brought the dream of a deathless humanity ever closer to reality. Then, finally, after decades of struggle, the moment of truth arrived. The first batch of human subjects, volunteers who had undergone the revolutionary immortality, were ready to be tested. The world held its breath as the results were anxiously awaited. And when the news came, it was nothing short of miraculous. The subjects had not only survived the treatment, but they had been completely transformed, their biological clocks reset, their bodies and minds restored to the prime of their youth. Death, it seemed, had been conquered. The celebrations that erupted across the globe were unlike anything the world had ever seen. Humanity, once resigned to the inevitability of its own demise, had now taken control of its destiny, shattering the constraints that had defined its existence for millennia. But the alien overlords were not about to surrender their dominion without a fight. As the news of humanity's triumph spread, they launched a final, desperate assault, unleashing the full fury of their technological might in a bid to crush the upstart civilization that had dared to defy their authority. The battle that ensued was a titanic clash of civilizations, a struggle for the very soul of the cosmos. Humanity, fueled by its newfound purpose and its burning desire for freedom, fought with a ferocity that caught the alien overlords off guard. And in the end, it was the sheer force of human will, the unbreakable determination of a species that had tasted the fruits of immortality, that carried the day. The alien construct, the very foundation of the cosmic order that had ruled for eons, crumbled under the onslaught of human defiance. In the aftermath, the world was forever changed. The barriers of mortality had been shattered, and humanity had taken its rightful place as the masters of its own destiny. No longer were we bound by the cruel constraints of biology, but free to explore the boundless frontiers of the universe, to reach for the stars and beyond. It was a new era, a time of unbridled possibility and limitless potential, and at the forefront of this revolution were the scientists, the unsung heroes whose tireless efforts had paved the way for humanity's greatest triumph. As the dust settled, they stood tall, their once weary faces now alight with a sense of purpose and pride. For they had done what no civilization had dared to do before. They had defied the very forces of nature, and in doing so, had liberated their species from the shackles of mortality. And so, with the dawn of a new age of immortality, humanity set forth on a journey of unprecedented discovery and exploration, driven by a sense of purpose and a burning desire to shape the destiny of the cosmos itself.